Back at it.
Episode 15, Leute.
Oh my God, Deutsch. We're back at it. Jared and Mike here. Sex, Drugs, and Opera. This is episode 15 for October 20th, 2018.
Talking about changes.
I have to make a confession. I might be a little bit low energy.
Oh, yeah.
And I might be breathing like Darth Vader today. I was really sick the last couple of weeks, and I did what you're not supposed to do. I kept going to the gym.
Oh, you douche.
And I go to the gym hard, and everything I do at the gym is like rib.
And you're one of those
muscles.
guys who's like, just work through the pain, just work through the
Yeah,
pain.
no pain, no gain. But a combination of that and coughing caused me to really fuck up my intercostal muscles. All the muscles between your ribs, for those of you that know. And I went to the doctor, and so I have to start doing therapy now to get this shit back in check. Yeah. And do you know what the therapy is? So, okay, sorry, I have to say this. This might take a second. But it's funny, when you live in Germany for a long time, like Mike and I have, you learn German fluently, but there's always going to be patches or bubbles of the world where you don't know the vocabulary necessary.
Not patches and bubbles, huge gaping
You know
holes.
what I mean? Like animal noises, okay?
Right.
Frogs in English go ribbit, ribbit. In German, it's like
Quack,
kvak, kvak.
quack.
You know that because you have children,
Right.
but I don't experience that. But anytime you go get your car repaired and they start talking about like alternators and spark plugs and axles, why would I know those fucking words in German?
Those are those sorts of moments where I just take the English word and say it in a German way.
Axel.
Alternator.
Yeah, and it
What
works.
the fuck?
It works half the time.
Half the time.
But the doctor is definitely one of those places.
yeah, definitely.
So I was sitting, and German healthcare is free, which is good, but that means everybody's fucking there.
Right.
And it's slow as shit. So when you get into the doctor, he's like, okay, what's wrong? Let's take up, like, it's this type of thing. So I kind of had no idea what the fuck he said, but I understood he said that I fucked up my intercostal muscles, because luckily that word's the same in German.
Oh, nice.
And he said, you need therapy. And I thought he meant maybe you need therapy, but he meant right now. So he's like, go in that room. And this woman tells me to take my shirt off, and she starts lining up all these syringes, like 8, like chick. And what they did is they put a shot in between like each of my
Oh,
ribs.
my God.
And then hooked up these electrodes that caused my muscles to spasm and gave me a microwave from the front.
Dude, I swear to God, Jared and I talk almost every day, and he holds the important shit out for the podcast.
Well, this
for
happened
recording.
yesterday.
Yeah, still.
Yeah, but anyway.
I called you wanting to know what was happening, and you purposely didn't pick up because you wanted to have this
No, I was
golden
probably
nugget
getting
for the
fucking shot
You're
up.
probably getting shocked.
CT scans and all this shit. And anyway, you just agree to stuff, you know? Like he's like, we need to do this, and this, you understand? And I'm like, yes. Next thing you know, they're shooting you full. And I don't know what they put in me, you know? But I feel better. But I might be breathing like Darth Vader today.
If it's
so,
steroids, dude, you better go to the gym now.
Yeah.
Use that shit while it's in there.
I think it's probably cortisone, but if you hear me breathing deeply, it's because I can't feel my lungs all the way
Dude,
for a
they
while.
use cortisone for so much shit.
I know, dude.
I had a scar on my shoulder for the longest time after falling off my bike, and they just used to pump it full of cortisone.
Here in Germany or what?
No, in America.
Oh, yeah.
They're like, it'll come back, but for the next couple months, it's going to look amazing.
This is kind of random, but here's a tip. If you're at a theater, make sure that they fucking use different sponges for your makeup.
Oh, yeah.
I was at a theater recently, do you remember? And I had a cut on my face, and they used like somebody else's sponge that was dirty, and I had this like flesh-eating virus on my face.
Dude, it wasn't actually a flesh-eating virus, was it?
It got huge. It got like to the size of my whole cheek.
Dude, I am not.
And
I
they
don't
pumped it
have,
full of cortisone. That was
I
the
don't
problem.
have many irrational fears, right?
Yeah.
But flesh-eating viruses are absolutely a fear of mine. And you know what? You know where you mostly hear the stories of them are people using neti pots, using not distilled water for neti pots. And so the singer friends out there who are using neti pots, right? Distilled water. Because apparently what happens is if you have if one of those little fucking nasty bacteria, which apparently aren't so uncommon in nature, right? If they get up into one of the tiny little crevices up in your nasal cavity and just sit there and breed and fuck for a while and reproduce, you're not going to have a face anymore.
So you have to use distilled water then.
You got to use distilled water.
I'm not a neti pot guy.
Neither am I, dude. I don't want that.
I don't know.
Rather
A lot of people do it.
I'd rather cough it up and spit it out than just out the nose.
Some people. Well, I'm afraid to get into superstitious shit. You know, if I need to have a peeled apple and a neti pot and a cup of like lemon tea before I sing, then I'll always need it.
Yeah,
and
it's a crutch.
A lot of that stuff can be a crutch or mental. So,
dude, what are we talking about today?
Well, let's get to the cocktail first.
Man, you want to keep the good stuff from everybody, but actually, this cocktail is the good stuff.
Yeah. Well, I gotta have the alcohol before I can fucking talk. You know?
Yeah. Okay. You explain the winner and everything like that. I'll make your cocktail.
Okay, so This was actually a while ago, but that's the problem with a bi-weekly podcast that we record in advance. Is like this shit happens a month later. But we had a cocktail contest where people made their best magic flute
For
cocktail.
Papagaynos.
For Papagaynos, our online bar. And the winner with the Zoroastropolitan,
Great name.
Eve Stafford. I don't think that's how she says her name because she's Irish, but that's how Americans say your name.
Yeah, that's how we're going to fucking say your name.
I'm really tempted to say your name with an Irish accent right now.
No, don't do it, dude. Don't do
But
it.
I think that would get me in some trouble.
That almost always ends up being offensive.
So, Mike, tell
To
us.
somebody. Who the fuck cares?
Tell it when Paul's on the podcast. What
So we got a fucking we got a shot of espresso here, and now we're putting
Okay.
in a shot of Jameson.
Shot of espressos, one shot of Jameson's.
Then we've got a shot of fucking Baileys.
Dude, that Bailey's was sitting right in front of me, and I didn't notice it because I'm just like, I don't know. I'm used to it. I was like, where's the Bailey's?
Your intercostals are fucking your day up
Yeah,
today.
they really are.
Wait, that's not quite a shot. I'm gonna give you a little bit more there.
Espresso, Jameson, shot of Bailey's, and then the last ingredient is
Is a tiny bit. I've never
of
been good.
almond milk.
I've never been good with dashes of things. It says a dash of
A
almond
dash? Well, you do it. You do what you think. I'll tell you that's a dash.
It's a bit heavy on the dash, isn't
That's
it?
somehow not a dash? No, that was a bit light. I don't know what's lighter than a dash. That was like a
Dollop?
squirt.
Hey, so a dollop must be for something that. Oh man,
That's
you're
just
fucked
cream.
up. You're fucked up,
Dude, I'm not sick. Don't worry. I'm not gonna. Mike's got an audition coming up.
Yeah, come
I'm
on,
not
don't
sick,
do it.
but I just can't take a full breath, and it makes me fucking cough sometimes.
So here we go, the Zoroastropolitan. Give it a shot, buddy.
Let me see what we got. It's not bad. I would do more Baileys. It needs to be sweeter, I think.
You're such a little girl.
Boy, you like... Let me get back at it then.
Can you put some Hershey syrup in there?
I like sweet things.
Apparently.
No, if alcohol's strong, I like to be strong. Give me straight whiskey. But if it's a cocktail, man, then let's fruit it up.
I like it though. Hey, Ava
No, it's really
Stafford.
good. I would be happy to order that in a bar. Good
Two
job,
things.
Eve.
Good job, Eve or Ava or what? Did we say?
I think...
What?
I was going to go Irish.
The
there for
fucking
the-
Ava? I don't know. Whatever it is, dude, don't kill
You're gonna
yourself.
kill me, dude.
Two things, Ava or Eve or Ava or whatever. One, good
Evie.
job on the Evie. Evie could be. Good job on the cocktail. Two, fuck you for making me buy an entire carton of almond milk, which I
I'll
probably
I'll
would
take that
have-
home, dude.
You can take it, dude,
Okay, I'll
but
take it.
that shit's expensive here.
How much was that?
$3.40, I think.
Jeez, and a carton of milk here is like 50 cents.
Right, 50 cents. But you know, for you, Eva, I
think it's Eve, man.
Eve, we are
Adam and Eve.
Yeah, you need to write us in and tell us how to do it. IPA that shit for
Yeah.
us. We will not accept an answer
No.
not an IPA, and we're going to proofread the IPA.
The groceries are cheap as shit.
like
in
it.
Germany. No, I like it. I like it. Espresso strong, whiskey strong. I would double up on the Baileys. That's the only thing I would do differently. Make it a sweet one. And I think she did actually say garnish with some chocolate sprinkles on top, but we're not
Dude,
going
I'm
to do that
not
shit.
fucking buying chocolate sprinkles.
8 out of
for this.
10. It's a good cocktail.
It's a hell of a
I'd
cocktail.
be happy if I
the
go to the bar.
Zoroastropolitan.
The Zoroastropolitan. If you want the ingredients, go to our website, Papagaynos. We have the Zoroastropolitan along with other cocktails that we made. Snake that bit me. I can't remember what else we had.
Papagayans off.
Papagayans off and there was-
what was the other one?
There was
Shit,
some
the
dude
other
that was
finalist.
actually a bartender that sent in a really good one.
I know.
That almost won. And it was like
But we
Der
put it-
Mutterschwur or something like that.
Yeah, that's what it
Yeah.
was. That was really good. That was also a good one. But hey, we're living in a democracy here, so we put it up to the vote.
So let's keep the alcohol train rolling since I'm on these pain pills.
Should. So you got to drive later, huh?
I'm actually, well, this is Sex, Drugs, and Opera Band. This isn't fucking lackluster hand jobs, watered down lemonade,
I'll
and
get my beer, yeah.
cartoons. Yeah. While you're doing that, I'll talk about the. On one of the podcasts, I said that nobody knew Beck's beer. Was that Carmen? I think that was Carmen.
Yeah, maybe.
And apparently, I was fucking wrong. I put the vote up on.
Just a little wrong.
I didn't even look at the final vote because I put it on Instagram, and in the first 30 minutes, I think it was like 65 people yes and 2 no. So I guess everyone knows Beck's. I guess growing up in Seattle, we didn't have Beck's, but yeah, I'm fucking wrong. I'll admit when I'm wrong. Okay, write in, tell us we're wrong. We'll apologize. You feel fucking proud. I'm small. You're better than I am. Okay, I don't even know you.
Well,
You're out
look,
there. You're better than me.
That's clear. We all are better than you. That
All
is
right, Mike.
clear.
What beer you got?
I got this on a trip to the Netherlands. I don't know how you say it. Hulpener.
Oh, that's a Dutch beer.
Yeah, it's a Dutch beer. Hulpen is the town where it's brewed, which is right outside of Maastricht, where my wife and I used to...
I'm gonna guess it's Oud Bruin.
Braun or something like
Braun.
that.
Yeah, Dutch words often look like what they sound like.
Yep. Yeah, they do. Hold on. I'm gonna type this in.
Like what is Ausfahrt in Dutch? It's
hold on. I'm trying to type this in here. I can't fucking do it.
so anyway, I think it's like OUIT is like out or something like that.
Yeah, that's
and they
right.
pronounce it like out or something like it's Dutch is so close to English. You have to hear it. Do you need to?
Yeah, I kind of do.
Okay, we got to pause. Mike's got an important phone call.
Hello.
And we're back. Sorry, Mike actually got a call from his agent. And
You got to take those ones.
working in Germany is kind of a fast-paced business sometimes.
That's right.
And I've lost gigs by not picking up the phone.
That's right.
So you got to pick up.
I mean, if it's like an Einspringer or a jump in or something like that, you just want to know because guess what? Every fucking last second counts.
It's tonight sometimes.
Yeah, right.
Can you fucking be there tonight?
Right.
Especially when you live in this area because there's so many opera houses near us.
Right.
Right. So we were talking about this beer.
That's right. Which is pronounced like this now. Listen. Here we go.
Oud bruin.
One more time slowly.
Oud bruin.
Which probably means old brown or something.
Old brown.
Right?
That's
Yeah,
exactly what it means.
I'm telling you, when you hear Dutch, you basically know what it means. But if you look at it, it's OUDBRUIN. It looks like
It looks like old brown.
I don't know. Anyway,
Well, so up in the northern Netherlands is Frisia, right, or Friesland, yeah.
yeah.
And Friesisch, the way it's even spoken today, which it's only spoken by something like 70,000 people in the world, right?
Okay.
It is really like astoundingly close to Old English.
If you speak English and German, you can almost understand Dutch when they talk.
Yeah.
You can't read it though.
But I mean, this one specifically is actually an ancestor of original English. I mean, before the French and before the Danish influence and everything. So, let's drink the
you have a glass or
Oud
something?
Brown. Oud Brown.
Yes. So I always like to say, push it down with brown. You know, push those feelings down.
Here we go. Drinking at the same time.
Oh, that's like really sweet. I like that a lot.
Yeah, I know because you're a
I like
sweetheart.
Dutch beer.
You're a sweet.
Oh, that's sweet. You add that to this. I'm going to add some of that to this Rostropolitan here.
All right. Oh, you're getting creative.
Eve, I'm taking it to the next level.
Oh yeah. Oud Brown.
That did it right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Leaving you behind. All right, so that was bad. I'm sorry. So one more thing before we get to our talk. We talked about swimming on one of the past podcasts. And when I say write in with your thoughts on something, really do it. You know, because we read it.
And by the way,
Yeah.
of course, we don't know everything. It's great to hear people who actually know what the fuck they're talking about write in.
Yeah, he says we got a Danish tenor and swimmer that wrote in.
And what was the question? What did we say?
We were
on the
arguing
podcast?
about we were talking about swimmer's voice. And
That's
sometimes
right,
after you swim-
chlorine. I would
and
call
you
it
said chlorine, and I
voice.
said I wonder if it's holding your breath. And he said you should never hold your breath while swimming. Instead of continuously let air out while your head is underwater, and of course take a breath in when you need to. There shouldn't be any closed cords, ideally, at any time. Same goes for weightlifting, of course, although that's way harder, which is true. When you learn weightlifting, just to weightlift, they actually teach you to hold your breath.
Yeah,
But
right.
that shit's fucking messy for your vocal folds. Breathe when you weightlift. Breathe when you swim. Don't keep that shit
No
slung
joke.
together.
That's why a lot of those power lifters and everything they have just wrecked, absolutely destroyed voices.
Yeah, and they're yelling all the time and shit.
Yeah. Yep.
It's curdled into like cream.
Oh my God,
Eve,
dude.
I'm sorry, Kate. The beer wasn't. This is like when you do an Irish car bomb. You know what I mean? If you don't drink the Irish car bomb
Fucking
fast enough.
curdled it. If you guys could see it.
God, okay.
Well, you got beer stuff.
Well, fuck. I should have seen it come. All right, so let's transition here, huh? Let's segue.
Let's change.
Let's change like our bodies do.
Yep. That's
No,
the
see, I
topic
got
of
you.
that's a topic of don't change into a dead
Our
person.
Changing bodies. Sometimes your bodies get weak and you can hurt your ribs just from coughing.
But change is the topic for today, people. And
Well, the changing, life as a singer. They say that there are 3 puberties you go through as a singer. And the first is when you're a teenager, the next is in your early 30s, and then the last is when you're 60. And when that last one comes, you're pretty much done.
I can attest full-heartedly right now to the early 30s. It has been a fucking roller coaster, and it's been awful to deal with. you know, I've been
Yeah,
talking
yeah.
to you how many times
Me
about,
too,
oh,
man.
I
We're-
have to do this with this note, and go ahead.
Two things happen, right? As you get older, the voice changes, right? And this is something you know. If a man picks up the phone and he's 55 years old, or a man's 20 years old, you can hear the difference.
Yeah.
In untrained people.
Yeah.
Your voice timbre changing over time is natural. There's a couple reasons why this happens. One, your larynx just kind of descends over time. And the further your larynx is away from your lips, that's going to fuck up your passaggio. You know, we actually have a lot of non-singers and non-musicians who listen to this podcast. So it's tough to kind of find a balance between not being too esoteric.
Yeah.
But basically, if you sing an ooh and you make that track longer, you're going to slip into head voice sooner than ah or something that shortens the vocal tract, right? And so if your larynx is getting further away from your lips, obviously it's going to start making these little adjustments to when you start slipping into head voice and stuff like that. But the bigger change that people go through is something called laryngeal ossification.
Yeah,
right?
where the muscles, or you mean the hardening of the cartilage?
Yeah, the cartilage and like ligaments and stuff, they slowly turn to bone over time. And you get more bone in your tone, right?
Bone in the tone.
I've heard that before. That's not mine. I can't take credit for that. But getting more bone in your tone is usually a positive thing. It's usually a positive thing, but most people I know in their early 30s, myself included, you have to go through a little cleanup phase because anything about your technique that you could kind of counteract with flexibility, you start to not be able to do anymore.
Yeah, and that's the real thing. You know, if you learn when you exit school and you've got a technique that you can then rely on pretty well, right?
Yeah.
If you're going along, you're trucking along, and you've got this issue that comes up because your body is changing. You say, okay, I know how to deal with that, and you fucking do what you've always done, and that is no longer the answer.
Right.
That is a difficult... I can speak, like I said, I can speak firsthand with this one because this thing just happened, and it happens to me very specifically on like an A and A flat on a specific vowel. Not
man.
the other vowels.
That's completely normal. That happens to all of us. And it's just like puberty. Puberty hits some people really hard. Some people don't even notice.
Yeah.
And I think vocal changes through life are the same thing.
Yeah, but dude, I mean, come on. The thing is, you're going along, you're doing performances, and all of a sudden, I mean, if I had all the time in the world to like take some time off and figure shit out, then that would be amazing. But I don't have any of that time.
And these finite things, like when you go to the passaggio or blah 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 blah, you know what exact vowel you're using.
Yeah.
These things, they slowly change, but you can keep doing what you're doing until one day it like doesn't work anymore.
Until one day it doesn't work
the
anymore.
physics of like sound or resonance are finally off in a way that like now you have to adjust. But also the other struggle, something people struggle with, especially always their whole life, is your perception of your voice and what your voice is.
Yeah.
And usually by the end of your 20s,
Do you mean
align
the sound that you hear in your head and what other people hear, or just your...
For me, it's what I want to be and then what I am. You know, like I want to be this type of sound, but I'm really more of this type of sound. And by the end of your 20s, you usually align that. You have to, otherwise you probably haven't learned to sing by now.
Right.
Because those have to at some point.
We've talked about that before.
I
also,
think so.
Being true to what you actually are good at and what you actually are,
Right.
instead of just your perception of what you
want to be. That eventually has to line up. But what's fucked up is by your early 30s, you have to realign then.
Right.
Because your sound is changing, the way you look is changing or whatever, and you kind of have to go through like a midlife crisis. You have to redefine yourself and your voice. And it's just a normal part of the career. And on the other side, I think people usually come out of it better singers because you have to kind of refine your technique. And also, those changes do good things to your sound.
Sure,
normally.
they absolutely can. For me, it involved a bit of, how to say, not necessarily darkening, but using a darker vowel, what one would consider a darker, rounder vowel, in the higher tones, right?
Yeah.
Which can give an extra special quality to the upper tone that that you might not have had before. The problem, I find the biggest problem is retraining. Anybody who knows Sylvia Plyler or Tibby Plyler, she would always say, "We're not changing your mind, we're rearranging your mental furniture." And it is true. You have to fucking grab those intercostals, baby. Laugh and grab them.
I got to hold my ribs together when I laugh.
The concept though is right. Like, I've now got to rearrange what I expect to hear in my voice on certain tones.
Oh, it's hard to retrain that.
Yeah,
'Cause what singing
so
is
uncomfortable.
is you have all these different factors. You have nasal resonance, you have like pharyngeal resonance, mouth resonance, where your tongue is, where your lips are, like the amount of chest voice you're mixing in, and over time you come up with an exact mixture that you can expect before you even make the sound.
Yeah.
And when you have to change that mixture, man, it takes a lot of time to relearn that. I think checking in with somebody is good.
Yeah.
I think when you get older, you don't need voice lessons every week. I can't fucking afford that.
Right.
But colleagues or old voice teachers,
Yep.
ideally, is if you have a
All
voice
of what I
teacher
did.
if you have a voice teacher that you can trust your whole career and your whole life,
And who knows? I can say, remember when we trained that and that sort of work?
Right,
That
they know the
seems
journey.
to be what I need to do now.
yeah, having a mentor, and it's not like an inexperienced thing or a young singer thing. You look at the best singers in the world. Anna Netrebko, you think she doesn't have someone she works with that's
Definitely.
checking in her voice? The best singers do.
Yeah.
Everybody does. You need another set of ears, not every day, but you got to check in something because you get inside your own head. You know what I mean?
That I find that to be, like I said, the mental aspect of it then is the hardest part. Because singing is so much then about confidence, is
Right.
so much about getting up there and being secure in what you're doing and then forgetting how you're doing it so that you can go and emote something, right?
Yeah.
And for me, the idea of, oh man, this isn't what I used to do. This isn't as solid as I remembered it. Right? Can be a devastating thing to go through.
Yeah.
I swear to God, I kept singing the entire time, and it's not like I was giving bad performances or anything. But I literally thought to myself, no joke, I thought to myself, this is the end for me.
Yeah,
This is it.
It feels that way.
I'm not going to be able to do this.
Yeah, because
and-
you can't sing like you always did.
And you got to just keep fighting, finding. I mean, it's also, just swimming through the shit trying to find out what it is, what that change is that you require, which is why an extra set of ears can help,
Right.
Some solutions that I found actually that are working now are things that I once tried out and then rejected because I didn't have that extra set of ears to tell me, no, that's the right one. You can't tell what it's actually sounding like out there.
Right.
No matter how hard you try, you can tell what it feels like. But the sound is in the end effect the important thing.
Yeah. But I would keep that group small.
Yeah,
Keep
of
that group
course.
small.
No, a
Because
trusted teacher or a trusted friend.
yeah, close people. Because once you open that door with someone in a show, that you're doing a show with, once you say like, "Hey man, how was the high note?" Then every fucking show they're going to
Yeah,
tell you how
dude.
you're doing. So
Yeah.
make sure it's someone close. Make sure it's someone you've known for a long time. Also, who knows your voice, so they have some context.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Somebody might be a good singer, but a shit teacher. They might not know how to help you.
I'm sorry, but like these master classes, when somebody criticizes the shit out of your voice and who you are after hearing you once, they don't know your journey at all. I mean, come on, man.
I know.
Somebody who knows you, because you've known my voice for at least 7 years or so,
Yeah.
right? You're a valid person to ask advice about my voice sound.
That's right. I can actually
Remember how it was when I was
Exactly.
24
Yeah.
versus at 31.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's a good point.
That's important. But going through life change, your body changes. Trust people. Be open to change. You know what I mean?
I'd like to make this a two-parter because we didn't. There's a lot of stuff we have to get to in this podcast, so we
Right.
didn't really get to. We weren't able to get in as much detail as we maybe wanted to. But I'm also interested in when people change fachs entirely. When a
Yeah,
baritone goes
that's
to a
all right,
tenor, tenor goes to a baritone,
Mezzo
or
goes up to a soprano.
that's right,
That happens a
or
lot, yeah.
or a tenor or a baritone goes to a countertenor. I know someone who was who was doing really well as a tenor and then just
Yeah.
decided to sing as a countertenor.
Neither of us have done that. So
No
we're
way.
going to have to ask somebody about that.
Definitely, it's.
But also maybe we could do that
material.
on another episode. But also what I would like to know is just this change you go through where in your 20s you're kind of fixated on technique and being a technician, and then you transition eventually at one point in your life to being an artist. What do you have to say? You have to have something that Michael Pegger says.
Well, that's the thing.
And you gotta
That's
find
another
that.
thing that's so goddamn frustrating about it is. I want to be an artist. I don't necessarily want to be a technician, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's like if an artist wants to go paint something and their fucking paintbrushes are broken.
Right.
Well, you can't paint something if you don't have the right paintbrushes, right?
Yeah, sure.
Or the right paints. And
yep.
your voice is that. I mean, I want to go and say these specific things, and if the voice isn't working exactly, then you got to go back and devote that time to it.
Yeah. I mean, you got to have the tools you have, but it's like Miles Davis or some shit. You know, you got to know the rules before you can break them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But yeah, let's
one more
bring it back.
thing before we go on. You know, with the sex episode, we got so many people writing us in that we were able to do an entire follow-up episode about that. There are enough singers out there and a bunch of established singers out there in the world singing. I would love to know your stories. Even if they're anonymous, we now have the website where you can write in completely anonymously.
Yes,
we can't trace anything. I would love to do a follow-up show hearing some of the problems, because don't ever forget this. When you put your problem out there, somebody who is going through it now and thinks they're alone and thinks, oh man, I'm really just a shitty singer, and that's why this problem is happening, they'll know. They'll know that there are other people out there doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Give them that power, people.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, because we compete against each other as singers. You know what I mean? Like, if you're at the same audition, fuck you. But as opera singers as a whole, we gotta help each other out.
Definitely.
You know what I mean? And go to sexdrugsandopera.com, go to our contact page. It is 100% anonymous. Tell your story about changing Fächer, how your voice has changed. You know what I mean? Struggles you had getting older in life. Share your story. I think some people have the same story. Before we move on, I just want to say one thing I forgot to say at the beginning of the episode. On the Carmen episode, I couldn't think of the name of a couple good Carmens, right? They're singing Carmen right now. But there's two out there. I actually had a lot of people write in. And I'm going to butcher these names because I don't know where these people are from. You know what I mean? But there's one woman I was aware of. Her name is Clementine. I don't know if she's French. Magani. I don't know what her name is.
Okay.
Right? She's good. She's sang at Berlin, I think. And then you also have this Anita, what is her last name? Rakvelishvili or something like that.
I don't know either of those.
She's also singing Carmen at the Met and shit right now. So, like, there's good Carmens out there doing this shit right now. Check them out. Google them. If you want to know what the names are exactly, write me in. And
There's nothing better than
I'll tell you.
hearing a new voice, hearing one that you didn't know about, and you really like them. I'm really happy about that.
I'm bad about that. I listen to the same fucking 5 singers since university. You know what I mean?
You gotta explore. Open up.
Sometimes you'll find some shit, but you'll find something you didn't know, and it's the most exciting thing ever. So, hold on, let me check. We're good. So before we get into our next segment for today, I just want to take a second to talk about a sponsorship. We have our first monthly sponsor.
How about that?
Kiki Husman. Thank you so much for your support.
Thank you. Wow.
The way it works is you can go to our website, to our donor section, and you can click on our Patreon page, and you can become a sponsor for as little as, I think, $2 a month, right? And it's very easy to do. You set up a bank account, you set it up like online shopping, and then it just comes automatically out of your account. You can cancel anytime. But if you enjoy what we do and you believe in what we do, please think about donating.
Yeah, because look, this is what we had talked about this before, and she wrote in and told us. She said, this is an actual way to support the arts. We had talked about that once before, and she echoed that response. She said she feels like her money actually goes to something tangible.
If you've thought about supporting the arts, and you just want to throw your money at a big pot of money that goes to some bureaucracy somewhere, do that. But if you really want to directly affect something, we will not only keep you updated in what we're doing and how your money is being spent, but we give you content. We just think it's fair. There's a secret sponsor page on our website that has extra podcasts and videos, and you get something for your money.
Yep.
But beyond that, Mike and I are not trying to make money doing this. This costs a lot of money to do, and we just want to keep it going. So if you feel at the least amount guilty, then just do it.
Well, look, we've stopped now twice in the recording of this podcast because this fucking computer is awful.
Yeah, this computer is fucking bullshit.
Awful. I mean, we're just using too much equipment for this piece of shit. And
this computer's like 8 years old,
and it's falling apart. And we want to get a computer that we can be assured the quality is going to be high each time. It's not for porn.
People have been writing.
This is not going to be a porn computer.
No. People have been writing me and asking when we're going to go to video. I can't do it until we get like a MacBook level computer.
Yeah.
You can't have 3 camera angles and 2 audio or 3 audio inputs with MP3s being thrown in here and there. You can't do that on this piece of shit computer. So we're ready. We're ready to make the jump. We just need a little bit of help.
We
So
just need all your guys' help.
if you're not willing to commit to the monthly thing, you can give a one-time payment, or at least go to our Facebook page, give us a 5-star rating, and at least help us place better
That's right.
in Google. You know what I mean? At least do that much.
Yeah.
But that's all we're going to say about that. But it'd be a big help.
And thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Kiki. That's great.
Okay, so
New segment.
we're going to
baby.
introduce a new segment today.
New segment.
I hope you're all
Oh,
ready. for
I
this
love
shit.
it.
Okay, here we
I
go.
love it.
SDAO University. Come in and learn some shit.
We should have way recorded this when we were doing. We both gave our shots at being the best. What's that fucker's name from Planet Earth?
Oh, that's who we were doing.
I can't remember what his name is now.
SDAO University.
Mine ended up being much more Gandalf.
No, you went really Gandalf with it. David
SDAO
Yeah.
University.
David Attenborough, is that his name?
David Attenborough. That's it. But,
Come in-
but we had so much fucking fun just sitting down.
We
here
did
doing
so
it.
many different characters.
Watch your intercostals, dude. Don't laugh.
We did like an English drill sergeant.
There was the English
Like we did so many.
parliamentarian. Here.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry. This segment's called SDAO University. All right.
This is where we learn you guys some shit.
So Mike, this is a bit complicated to try to do. Mike and I went to music school years ago. You know, for me, it's been like, I don't know, 10, 12 fucking years. And our fan base, people that listen to the show, is a pretty strong mix of professionals, students, and people that don't know shit about music. They like
Right.
opera, or people that don't even know opera at all, just fucking normal people. So we're going to try to talk about some of the topics you would traditionally discuss if you're studying music in university.
That you would see in your Grout Paliska
Yeah,
music history of Western music book.
this type of stuff. But we're going to try to do it in a way that's
Doesn't blow ass.
not too esoteric, but that's too overly simple.
That's right.
So oddly enough, I got to check, make sure this
I,
isn't fucking up.
I feel like it's always a fine goal to say, let's do something, but have it not blow all kinds of ass.
So I guess I didn't do the beer, but yeah, okay, I'll do the beer.
Yeah, get the fucking beer
I'll do it
out.
I'm trying to be able to.
SDAO University.
Yeah, that's
you shall not pass.
Yeah, that's really that. All right, so my beer is the Hafensänger. This is from, I guess, Brauerei Hannover, Marschsee, Baltic Porter. It's a
me
porter,
see this.
Hafensänger.
Man, you love your porters.
I can't get enough of that dark beer. These are some good dark beers today. We'll put these up on the website. If you want to know what beer we're drinking.
Hafensänger. Oh, now I see.
What, did I say it wrong?
No, I just didn't understand the word Sänger, really, meaning singer.
Maybe you can give me some critique
The
on my-
harbor singer. Hey, I know you long enough now. Here, cheers, buddy.
Cheers. Anyway, so we chose church modes.
Church modes, Professor Ice.
A bit
Professor
esoteric.
Ice.
All right, so we're gonna breeze through this. Some of you out there are history fucking nerds. I know it. If you want to add to the discussion, write in. Don't get all pissy. Okay, this is
Or,
a brief overview.
I'll tell you what, people. There are the comments section under YouTube. Start one of your nerdy fucking early music.
Yeah, nerd out, but keep us
nerd
fucking
out
out of
on
it. Right?
it.
We're just trying to put some shit.
I want to
light.
read it. I want to read somebody be like, the Guidonian hand was not described that way. Fuck you.
I'm not talking
I
about the
wanna-
Guidonian hand today.
No, the Guidonian hand is coming, baby.
Are you gonna bring it up? All right.
Oh, not today. Not today.
Okay.
In another lesson.
So church modes, okay? Most of you know what, even if you're non-musicians, what scales are. We have major and minor scales. It's just these alignment of notes, right? But church modes come from way the fuck back when. It started with Plato and Aristotle, and they had this thing called the ethos of music, and it described how these different orders of notes made people feel a certain way.
Yeah.
Just like major and minor, happy, sad, but there was more emotions, right?
There was a bit of bullshit involved in that, though, because they actually there's a I can't remember which mode he listened to, but there's a story about Alexander the Great listening to
one of the sad ones or something?
one of the modes and then being so changed and moved just by the mode that he got up and went to war.
Yeah, of course, man.
I
It
mean,
was
that's what they
exaggerated.
say. No, but that's what they say back then.
I know, and you have to also understand music theory is something that was done retrospectively.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, they didn't have half steps and wholes. They weren't talking about music the same way we do now. But Aristotle and Plato were some of the first people that are talking about the alignment of tones making you feel a certain way. And we still have this idea today with major, happy, minor, sad, right? And even non-musicians can hear that. That's a sad sound. You know what I mean? So that shit was going
Although
on.
not mutual and not exclusive to Western. I mean, oftentimes the minor mode is not considered sad at all by non-Western.
Yeah, but these days it's all so homogenized.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean? But that's kind of new with the internet and all that shit. So anyway, they didn't have names back then, though. They didn't have these Greek names. That came later. And about 400 years later, so now we're at like 50 AD, right? You had Christians using these modes in church. And at this time, you had like this Jewish music, Indian raga, where they were basically doing different modes for the different times of year, which doesn't sound that strange because we still do that. We have Christmas music at Christmas time, you know? We have different music we listen to at different times of the year. But even then, they had these modes that had these moods. They just still didn't have fucking names, right?
That's right.
It wasn't until you had fucking Boethius in fucking 520 AD, and he said, fuck it! These modes need some names, right? So he was translating Aristotle's work into Latin, and he just said, fuck it. I'm going to name them. I'm going to name them shit.
Yeah.
You got to understand, he was doing this 850 years later than fucking Plato and Aristotle. And he says, fuck it. I'm going to name them after parts of Greece.
Right.
He had no fucking reason to do that. Mixolydian, Dorian, right? That didn't come from some logical place. He was just like, got to name this shit.
It's got to be something.
People think that a lot of
It's
like
gotta be
things we
something.
use in language and history come from some thought out, planned place. But a lot of stuff is just like some dude was like, fuck this.
Well,
Someone's got to name this shit.
There was the idea about antiquity being some sort of golden standard. You know, oftentimes in the Middle Ages, they were washing their plates and forks with just pieces of shit. I mean, they were the dirtiest, nastiest people in the Middle Ages. It's crazy. So they're looking back at Greece and being like, "Oh, they had something going for them."
Right. So then
do that.
Then we come to fucking around 80. Now we're at 600 AD, and you got fucking old Greg. Oh, I'm
Yeah.
old Greg.
Except
Pope
wait,
Gregory, baby.
I gotta jump in here.
Jump
right?
on in.
Because it actually goes a little bit later. Yeah. At this time, they didn't have what was called Gregorian chant yet. That didn't really exist.
When Pope Gregory was out.
That's right. That
Okay.
didn't exist. Actually, the idea of Gregory having the little whispering in his ear,
Yeah.
the little fucking dove whispering in his ear, and him notating that only was applied to Gregory
Yeah.
afterwards. After I think 200 years after, because he was stopped being pope in 604. But there's a great story about how the pope in the 8th century
Okay.
was worried about invaders around him, right?
Yeah.
So what he did was he went up to Paris, actually made a trip to Paris to this guy, a leader of the Franks called, and this I fucking love this name. His name is Pepin the Short. Can you imagine being a ruler? You work your way up, and you're fucking learned, and you're taking care of empires. Can you imagine what he would think if he knew today?
Yeah.
We called him Pepin the
Short.
It's like you work your way up, and you got it, and later it's like Jared the Dick-Faced.
Right.
And they just laughing at you forever.
Fuck.
Just
the ribs.
fucking forever, baby. Anyway, so he went and the Pope went up to Pepin and said, "Hey, listen, if you fucking protect me from these guys, we'll do a little fucking deal here. Let's make a deal, yeah? That sort
Okay.
of thing." Afterwards, he was proclaimed a king by the Pope, made it official, right? His son, by the way, Charlemagne.
Right.
That's kind of how that whole deal fucking got going
That's
on,
some
right?
backdoor shady shit.
I mention this because at the time in that part of the world, they were using something called Gallic chant, right? And one of the promises he made was to unify, because they had an idea that the church had to be universal. That's what Catholic means. It means universal church, right?
Okay.
And the one thing that bothered everybody was, we're singing this down here at this time, and they're singing this up there at that time. It should all be the same.
Right.
And one of the compromises was that he would use the Roman chant. What's cool and what I love about fucking culture and society is the way people want to plan shit is never how it goes down.
No.
And what happened is that those two kind of mixed. The Gallic chant and the Roman style chant mixed. And later that was called Gregorian chant. But the only reason they called it Gregorian chant, and this is what's really cool, is they needed to somehow bind that chant, which is now existing and becoming the most popular sort, to the church again. So it then becomes Catholic, and it becomes holy. So they said, which Pope didn't do shit. Gregory. Gregory, there's going to be a fucking...
Yeah,
somebody
I mean-
came up with some fucking story about a fucking
right.
dove whispering on his shoulder, and that's what we know today, peeps.
These are the doves, okay? That's saying.
That was actually a real chant that I was singing, though.
Yeah.
That's the Christmas Day chant, baby.
Fuck that shit. So you know what I mean? It's like when Nirvana came out, they did not say, okay, we're doing grunge music now. They just played music, and retrospectively, people say that's grunge.
That's right.
That's how this shit worked back then, too. He's not like, I got a new thing called fucking Gregorian chant. Like, they were just making fucking music, and we
Hey, did you
look back.
fucking hear what Greg's doing?
Greg's over here.
Greg's singing a bunch of fucking chant. He's over there in the corner like, boo, where fucking tu says, huh? What a fucking jag off. Gregory, you fucking...
Oh, the ribs. Fucking Bostonian. All right, so moving
Get
on.
the fuck out of here, Gregory. Take your fucking bird and fuck off. Anyway, what are we doing? What are we talking about? Gregorian chant? Is that what it
So
was?
even when Pope Greggy was out there doing his shit, people still weren't using the Greek names. They were still just like mode 1, mode 2.
Right.
You know what I mean? It was hard to keep track of the shit. And it wasn't until like 1547 there was a guy named Gladianus, I think,
yeah.
which just looks like Glareanus.
Right.
So I'm going to call him Glareanus.
Glaring anus.
Glareanus, he published this fucking
Glarianus.
Dodecacordon, or whatever the fuck it was called.
Touch me on my anus. Glaring anus.
And so he basically added Aeolian and Ionian. Sorry, Aeolian and Ionian, which basically became our major and minor. But these were more of like theoretical add-ins. They weren't what people were fucking doing.
What did they sound like?
Okay, no. So
I got a new tool. I got this new arm that holds my microphone, and it has these things on here. And that's what they sound like if you flick them. I love it, baby.
I would do some drumming, but I'm afraid to fuck this shit up.
Yeah, that's true. Go
So
for it.
anyway, so then we have our church modes as we know them today. And so for those of you that are just tuning in, which is none of you because it's a fucking podcast, isn't a radio, we're talking about church modes, which are kind of became the scales we know: happy scale, bad scale, which became harmony, which became happy sound, sad sound. So now, in 1547, we have all of our church modes: the Ionian, Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, Mixed Lydian, Aeolian, Locrian, baby.
Locrian.
And
Do you know this, by the way?
Yeah.
So when reading about this and everything that I remember that you had based on the tones D or the scale tones D,
Dorian.
E, F, G,
Yeah.
Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, Mixolydian.
yeah, then
And
Aeolian.
Exactly, but there's also those are the those ones are the authentic modes,
Authentic
right?
modes, yeah.
And then you have the plagal modes where
Sure.
it's Hypodorian, Hyperphrygian,
Right.
Hypolydian, and Hypomixolydian.
Yeah, sure.
What's the difference? I mean, where do those other names, the Ionian and the Locrian, come into
It's
play?
way more simple than people think. You know what I mean? Like the difference is basically when you have an authentic mode, you're starting on. They didn't have harmony like we do
Right.
today, so you can't call it kind of like a tonic note. It was just
Right.
the final note they
But
finished
they
on.
called it the finalis.
Yeah, the final note.
Yeah.
So when you start on the final note, basically today we use solfege. So like you have do, re, mi, fa, sol, fa, mi, re, do. Do is the final note.
Right.
So for them, they would do like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Do, re, mi, fa, sol. Then the next 1, 2, 3, 4 was sol, la, ti, do.
Right.
Right. If you take the sol, la, ti, do, and you start on that note, now you're hypo.
Yeah, that's right.
All you
So-
do is you basically start on the 5 to 5, and then the ending note, do, is in the middle.
That's right. So that's how I remember it, that they had the 5-note species and the 4-note species, right?
Right.
And the authentic ones are when you take a 5-note species and you take the 4-note species and you put it on top,
Right.
making the octave, right?
Right. So D to D, for
Exactly.
instance.
So the D would be the finalis there, and then if you were to take the 4-note species and then put it on the bottom,
Yeah.
then that's what you got. And
So you're
that
basically
would-
going 5, 1 to 5 again.
So if it's on D, that would be Dorian, and then when you put it on the bottom, that's Hypodorian.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Then you have authentic, and then the other ones are plagal.
Yeah.
So for those of you that didn't study music, that might have been a bit esoteric. But basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then you have 5, 6, 7, 8.
Yeah.
And if you put the 5, 6, 7, 8 on the bottom and start from there, then it's hypo.
Right.
Right. So then you have Phrygian, Hypophrygian, this stuff. And so basically, you know, these modes, they typically go from like light to dark. I can't remember the order. I think it was like Ionians, the brightest, Then like Mixolydian, Dorian, Aeolian, and then Phrygian is like the darkest, right? That's what people kind of considered. But like I said, today we have major, minor. So these things became major, minor, and even in the Baroque period, people said major and minor. You know,
Yeah.
Bach had like one, I think, like Dorian fugue or some shit. But basically, it became major and minor really quickly.
Yeah.
You know, and some of these like Locrian, the one built off B, that was mostly theoretical. People
Actually-
didn't fucking sing that shit. Very
Yeah,
often.
because they didn't want to. They still didn't build it off of that one because it's fifth above. There's a diminished fifth, right? If you just stay on that natural scale like that, and of course the fucking diminished fifth, baby.
that was the devil.
That tritonus on the anus of Clarianus,
Glaranus.
glaring.
Now back
anus.
then, that's a whole different thing. But back then, there was some like intervals you couldn't do because they
See,
were from the
glare
devil.
anus. Glare anus. If you're studying music right now, you'll never forget who codified these the names.
Yeah.
Because it's glaring anus.
Yeah.
It's a huge glaring.
Something I
glittering
did in
anus.
university is I made these. It's called an Eselbrücke in
A
a
mnemonic device.
a
Me
donkey
too, dude.
bridge in German. And I would do the most violent, fucking like terrible, disgusting things I could
Do you
think
want to
of.
tell yours? Because I've got one too.
No,
I can,
I can't remember. It was like butt fuck. But
I've got one
just
if you
help
want me to
remember
let
shit.
you know.
Is it good enough for the podcast, man? Because we
it's-
can cross lines.
It's good, but
Okay.
I don't know if I don't know if we're gonna have to cut it out or not.
All right, just
This was meant to remember for some fucking test, and I have some colleagues that did this with me, right? Mm-hmm. For some fucking test, medieval instruments, right? And the mnemonic device was, violent llamas fuck pussy regularly, so do beavers. Oh fuck.
That's good.
Right?
I'll never forget that.
Right,
Yeah, that's
and you
scarred.
got it.
Yeah.
Violent, vile, llamas, liar, violent llamas, fuck, flute, pussy, psalter, right? I mean, it happened, and to this day I remember that
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah.
To this day.
Yeah, it's like the every good boy does fine, like music.
Glaring anus.
All right. So basically, the church modes were then kind of just major, minor, but then they had a revival, of course, with jazz. So you had, in 1953, you had George Russell's Lydian chromatic concept, right? And a couple years later, in 1959, you had Miles Davis and Bill Evans, Some Kind of Blue. Kind of Blue. Kind of Blue was the
Kind of
name of the
Blue.
album. And they started using these church modes again. And because when you look at jazz music, you have these chord extensions, right?
Yeah.
C major 11, 13, which seems really complicated. But actually, often what those chord extensions are is just if you take, for instance, a C major 13, add 11, that's just the Ionian scale. That's just
Right.
a major scale. But instead of just slamming down all the keys at once, you take 2, 4, and 6, and you put it on top. So you have a D major on top with a C major 7 on bottom,
Yeah.
and you're basically playing all the numbers, all the notes of the Ionian scale. If you make it an F sharp, then you're playing all the notes of the Lydian scale. So if you want to solo above that harmony, you of course need to just
See,
play
I
Lydian the whole
I
time.
couldn't tell you any of this shit, but you were a jazzer at one time.
Yeah,
huh?
I was, and we had to know our modes.
Yeah.
I mean, there were some that we didn't like. We also never used Locrian, but you got to know Mixolydian and Dorian and this shit.
When I was doing a little bit of research for this, it was almost all jazzers explaining it.
Oh man, jazz people are so underrated.
Oh yeah.
They have an understanding of music and harmony and theory because they're not limited. You know, they think outside the box.
Yeah.
Don't underestimate jazzers, man. Those people are great fucking musicians.
I don't, dude. Although for some reason in school, the jazzers I don't think liked me very much. I don't know why.
They
I
didn't
don't
like you.
know why. They didn't like me.
Okay.
I mean, it's not like I have anything particularly against jazz, but I got along with them at first, and then we somehow fucking got into these little arguments about shit,
Yeah.
and that was that. And that was that, my friend.
I don't know, man. Maybe it's because you get fucking heated. You
I
don't-
do. I
you
get
don't.
heated
You don't let shit
about
go.
the tiniest shit too, dude. Wait, hey, I want to give a shout out to a specific guy here. Early Music Sources is the channel on YouTube.
Ah, that's a good one. That's a good one.
This guy's name was Elam Rotem, right?
Right.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome shit. It breaks everything down perfectly. It's entertaining.
Yeah.
I really got into a bunch of his videos.
Mike and me, our thing is we just kind of jam on opera and the classical world, but there's people who their thing is they want to educate people, you know? So if you're in music school, utilize YouTube. Or even if you're not musical, if you just want to refresh or you don't know any of the shit we talk about, we say words all the time like passaggio and resonance and like whatever the fuck else we say. Man, just look it up on YouTube. There's a tutorial about everything out there.
Definitely.
So that's the STL University segment. Write in. Tell us if you liked it or if you thought that was a waste of time. I think the idea of just kind of, we're not going to fucking do it all the time. But we'll do it sometimes. But if it was interesting for you and you feel like you're refreshed or learned something, let us know. If it was absolute bullshit,
Most of what we do is bullshit, dude.
Yeah, I just think it's cool. I think it's cool. We spent so much time in university learning that shit, and like as opera singers, we never need it.
Dude, I wanted to tell you this, by the way. So when I was reading through church modes at first. No. It was so I got my Grout Poliska History of Western Music from home last time I was in America. And when reading to find out what we should do for this first SDAO university, I started reading through some of the book, and some of it is such fucking bullshit, dude.
Man.
So it was the beginning of Polyphony, right? And at the beginning of the chapter, they go like this. They say, at this time, Charlemagne was doing this in fucking Europe, and the Eastern Roman Empire was still going, and it was being invaded by the Mongols, and blah, 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 this and this and that and that and that. Huge, earth-shattering things.
Right.
The next paragraph is, and also, importantly at this time, polyphony was making its way into church music. What the fuck?
Dude.
It's the worst. It's
Yeah,
the
but
worst.
fuck that.
It's the worst transition.
That is the trademark of pretentious classical musicians,
Thinking that it's that.
No. Like attaching what they did to names. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'll tell you a story. Like, I did Don Giovanni, I stabbed a guy on stage once, right? But the same person will be like, I was doing the blah, blah, blah program with na-na-na-na-na, was there. Like, what's the fucking story, man? Because if you can attach important names to what you're about to say, you are putting yourself with those people.
Totally.
Okay? Fucking, what were you talking about? Was it, what'd you say, plagal cadences?
No. It was talking about just polyphony, coming into church music.
You're going to compare polyphony to, like, major world wars
The
and
thing is,
economic
they didn't
issues
say,
and shit.
Had they said as a result of this Eastern influence made it into church music. That's all. I mean, for instance, in Aachen, where we are, right? Charlemagne, who we talked about earlier, at one point made it to Istanbul to visit the Eastern Roman Emperor, right? When he came back, he had seen all this to him, it was brand new architecture. I mean, it was all this Eastern architecture, the Hagia Sophia and everything that. When he built his cathedral, the dome in German, the dome, in Aachen, where after that, for the next 800 years, the Holy Roman Emperor was crowned in Aachen, right?
Right.
His church has all kinds of Eastern influences from his trip there,
Yeah.
That's pertinent.
Yeah,
That's
no,
fucking
that's true.
pertinent. Why
I
does
mean,
that arch look like that? Because that motherfucker took a trip over there and fucking saw it and was like, I like that shit.
Sometimes it's that simple. Like during war and stuff, people fucking stole art, stole music and shit, or they just got exposed to some shit,
Right.
They're
Like, if
that's fucking cool.
If you go to fucking Turkey nowadays and then all of a sudden you're hearing... That shit's gonna make it into your fucking ornaments.
Yeah.
When you're
Yeah.
singing Donizetti or Bellini.
Until your coach tells you can't do that shit.
And you're like, fuck you, I listen to SDAO. I can do it. We're
Yeah.
inventing here.
We're making a movement, okay?
We're inventing. We're changing. Change. That's the fucking topic of the day,
Yeah.
baby.
All right. So
Change.
I think that's it for us. This is episode 15.
I'm Michael Pegger.
I'm Jared Heiss.
And fuck you.
Fuck you.